Did you go to USF?
Yeah. I went to St. Pete Junior College, and then got my associates there, and I went to USF for a year. I need to go back and get my bachelor's actually. But it was good. Actually, that's what we were filming today, and we'll be filming tomorrow. And they have a little garden botanical area I never knew about. And I asked the person that works there, I was like, well, how long has it been? She's like, I've been here for like 25 years. I'm like, well, dang. Apparently, I didn't know. She's like, you're not in the, I forgot what program she said, but I guess one of the programs uses it a lot. I'm like, nope, not me. Is Tascam better than the Zoom or whatever that they use? Or is it pretty much the same quality?
Quality-wise, I don't think you're going to be able to distinguish at this level. But I've always chosen Tascam just because the person that I was learning from used the Tascam.
Mm-hmm.
And also Tascam has like a rechargeable battery in there, and you can put like AA, so you have two options.
Okay.
It never runs out. So for me, it's better just because you get a little bit more for the money. A lot of people have used Zoom.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to seeing. That's why I just noticed this. I'm like,
When I say Zoom, I mean like the Zoom H4n. I don't mean like the Zoom H6. So maybe the H6 has rechargeable batteries, but the H4 versus this would be like the equivalent of the Zoom H4. This was the only reason I went with this really is because of the battery.
Okay.
And because I had experience using it, and I knew the quality is good.
Cool.
So, but a lot of people say the quality is good for Zoom too.
Yeah, a lot of people using it. Hopefully, hopefully it is. But a lot of that comes down to who's operating it too. So I mean, you get somebody, whatever equipment you give them, it can be top of the line if they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, and you got what's the term? Fanboys, or some people are Zoom people, some people are Tascam people.
Yeah.
I'm just a.
Today, no. Tomorrow I was back to an Angel and a Saint. That's got, let's see, I think it's just an Angel and a Saint. Then I have a break.
That looks straight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure I'm not crazy.
I've got a couple of things I'm supposed to work on next year. So today is my easy weekend.
We were talking about editing last week, and then Kamari was trying to figure out if the stat that he saw was footage used versus footage shot was like 96-1 for some directors. I was like, that shit's got to be crazy.
Well, I think that depends, though, on the director.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Those are the exact words I used. Yeah, I was like, I know different directors have different ratios, but 96-1 is crazy. That means 96 minutes of what you shot versus 1 minute that actually makes it to the screen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's directors that, like Clint. I think it's Clint Eastwood. Is like he's infamous for the one shot. It's like, all right, boom, let's keep moving. He's not going to do multiple takes. Then you have some directors who want to do 400 takes to make sure they get every nuance, every angle, every word has to be just a certain way. And it's kind of like, okay, well, if you do like 20 shots for each part, yeah, you're going to have that 96-1 ratio. But if you do like, okay, if you're Clint Eastwood, you do one shot and let's keep it moving, or even like maybe 5 shots, your ratio is going to change. So it really depends on what the director does, because, like they say, at every point you got 3 different films, at minimum 3 different films. What the writer wrote, what the director sees, and then what the editor cuts for you. So
that's exactly what I said too. Exactly. The movie you write is not the movie you shoot or the movie you edit.
Exactly.
But 96-1,
it's still hard to believe.
In my mind, I'm sitting up here trying to do math. Right? I was like, how do you shoot 96 minutes of footage and only use 1? Ratio-wise, so it means you got 120 minutes is what you're going to generally put on the screen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That means you've got so much more footage. That's a waste of money. I was like, that can't be the case for Hollywood productions. The only way that is the case, in my mind, is, number 1, it's a documentary.
Okay, yeah.
Number 2, you got so many cameras. You have to use a lot of cameras. It's got to be a documentary, and the movie almost can't really get made. Like something went wrong. Like the
Justice League. You got the Zack Snyder and the Joss Whedon.
Like Lost in La Mancha is what I thought about.
Okay.
Or Hearts of Darkness.
I don't think I've heard of Hearts of Darkness. Lost in La Mancha I've heard of. I've never seen it, but
you've heard of the movie that is Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Apocalypse Now is the movie. Hearts of Darkness is the movie about the process of making the movie.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's one of those situations, and Lost in La Mancha is basically Don Quixote.
Uh-huh.
The attempt to make it that failed, and what they did was they took all the footage about that was like behind the scenes about the process, and they used that to make another movie.
Oh wow, okay, okay.
And everything that could have went wrong, making both of these movies, and that's kind of why they're famous. A lot of people think Hearts of Darkness was better than Apocalypse Now.
Oh really?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen either of the films.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not alone then. I feel better.
I'm a bad researcher. But yeah, that's what we were talking about, and it's like I couldn't relate it on an indie scale. I was like, I can't think of how that is even possible. But what I assumed is what he meant was minutes on the screen versus hours to shoot them.
Yeah.
That made a lot more sense. But then I researched days later, and I think he was actually right. I think they actually meant they shot 96 minutes, and for every 96 minutes, they only use 1 minute.
That could be about, because they say the average is supposed to be a page a minute, but it almost equates to an hour of film time, to a minute of screen time too.
Well, that's the reason for people who don't know, screenwriting is formatted a certain way, and the reason for that is so each page equals a minute.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because Hollywood is business, right? And for business to invest millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, you got to know how you got to be able to quantify how much labor is going into shooting each page. Mm-hmm. And so when you can quantify how long does a page take generally in Hollywood, mm-hmm. and you say it's a minute, that's a nice round number. It makes sense. It's easy for people to think about. So about 120 pages is going to be about a 2-hour movie. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's the reason that is. But I don't know any other way to do it other than to improvise it.
Well, I love improvisation. But
I actually love improv too.
But I mean, it's good, but I don't write in the right format. So like usually when I write a script, I'll hand it off to somebody and say, "Listen, make this the right format," because they put it right, like said, the minute, the page, all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of like when they do it, because I'm using Word documents, so they do it. And if I write, let's say, a 90-page script, it's going to end up being about 120 pages. You're running away. It's like you're not making a point anymore.
We're supposed to be organized here and have our thing. But no, this is just for me, and this is just so you'll know why I might be suddenly switching to a topic or whatever.
Oh, no, that's cool.
But no, continue what you were saying about.
No, I mean, it's just like when you take, like, say, I do it in the wrong format, I get somebody to put it in the right format. If I was going to present that to somebody, like, I met with somebody at Sony or whatever. Are they even around anymore? No, they're still around. They still do a Spider-Man thing. But introduced it to somebody at the Hollywood level, then you're right. They're going to look at that and they can say, okay, well, who do you want to get in it? What's the script? We got to break this down to numbers because it's all about business. It's all about, how much it's going to cost us versus how much we think we can make off of it. And they don't want to see 96 shots for 1 minute.
Exactly.
But that's where you have storyboarders and stuff too, though. I mean, it's like if you have a whole team on the indie level, usually like if you have a team, period, you're lucky, And then if you have somebody to do storyboards and to do breakdowns and to keep all that stuff organized, you're blessed, But on the Hollywood level, that's expected, So it's like, okay, you shouldn't have to have that ratio because you should go into it. Okay, we know what we're gonna do this day. We planned this out. We've got the storyboards. Me and the DP met 50 times to make sure we're on the same page, Indie level, if you don't kind of know what you're doing, you can end up doing that quickly, because you're like, oh, well, let me cover this. I want to get this. Oop, the light came in here. We couldn't control that. I couldn't get permits for this. So we're going to try to guerrilla style it. It's like, it's a whole lot of additional variables that throw you off on the indie level. But Hollywood level, I mean, I don't want to sit there all day. It's just because you don't know what you're doing.
You don't need to. You know why? They got people who do that shit all the time.
Yeah.
You're right about, I think it's great that somebody who has the inspiration for a story can just write it the way that they know how to write it and then hand it off to somebody who knows how to format it right.
Yeah.
Like adapting a book, for example. And then in Hollywood, you do have teams because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It just makes sense. You got departments that handle different things in business. And with filmmaking, it's basically a business.
Yeah, exactly.
Running, and so, on the indie level, I think people try to do that to the best extent that they can, and where they can't is where you got one person wearing a lot of hats, and they're learning to do it as they're doing it.
Yeah.
So if anybody's going to use way more footage than way less footage than what they shot, it really should be an indie filmmaker, but I don't see that. I really don't see it. And I shoot multiple cameras. I rack up footage.
Yeah.
But I don't get anywhere near 96:1.
I don't know. I remember when we did the vampire one. You had what, 4 cameras, 3 cameras going at the time?
3 at least.
Yeah.
You got your wide, you got your A subject, B subject, wide, or 50-50 middle. Then you've got whoever is doing the. We basically what it amounts to is we would always do at least 4 masters.
Okay.
We shoot the whole scene from 4 different angles, the entire scene, and then coverage. So, and then I'm the kind of guy who likes to run the camera before and after. So it's like you're sitting there getting into character, the fucking camera's running.
Yeah.
I don't tell you that. I just let it run. Because some of that stuff is going to be usable. Yeah,
you get some golden moments out of that. Actually, if I was I choose not to direct, but I mean, if I was directing, that would be the same way. It's like you said, sometimes that improvisation or that lack of knowing, so you're more relaxed. You're more relaxed because you're not on point. You're not feeling like I've got to get it right. You're just like, let me just go through it, and you'll be like, oh, that was perfect. And then they'll be like, how'd you get that? Oh yeah, I was rolling the whole time. So as a director, that's how it would be too.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could just sit every actor that I'm editing down with me right now and just say, you remember performing these scenes? Mm-hmm. This is like, yeah, I remember this part, and this part. Oh, that's interesting. Because you actually didn't perform it that way. I basically, this is 16 different performances. I took the best that I can find from each.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like for the vampire thing, it was an audio nightmare. So it's like it was one of those things where the actors weren't even saying the things that they were saying. Like they didn't say it at the time. They were talking like kind of in passing in between scenes or whatever, and I would grab the audio and use it when their voice was separated from their visuals because it had to make it fit.
Yeah.
Or else we would have a gap. But there would be times where I make scenes work and it's like before I edit it that way, it was like impossible to work with.
What?
Yeah, man. And I'm sure you know. Sometimes those were earlier days, so you make a lot more mistakes.
Yeah.
Days, but it's like, it's a lot of work, man. Editing is not something that you want to get stuck doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've sat there with editors. I mean, it's definitely not my passion. But if somebody's passionate about something, you can see it, like it's almost a gleam to their eye. So they love editing. You're just sitting there and they're kind of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this right here, and I'm gonna pull this right here. Oh, they got the scene over here. But then again, they have the nightmare of nobody uses a clapboard. They just give a bunch of unmarked footage, and it's kind of like, oh Lord.
Just in case this is all out of sync. But absolutely. But the thing is, I got stuck doing editing.
Yeah.
It's better if somebody who enjoys the process does it. Because I enjoy cinematography. Mm-hmm. Now I can get stuck doing cinematography and love it. Like cinematography can be a miserable experience if you're doing it outside. You got mosquitoes. It's hot. You got the environment. You got the actors. You're trying to make everything work. I like the experience of doing it. So it's like I can put up with that till the job gets done. When it comes to editing, I'm the kind of person who will do it all, but it's just not my,
not your cup of tea.
It's not really my thing. You know what I mean?
Do it by necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I ever do editing, I do want to learn the basics, just so the fact that I think when I decide to officially direct something, if you have a better picture and understanding of what each department does, even to the degree that if I'm a director, I can say, well, listen, here's a rough edit of what I'm thinking it is, but here's the footage. Make magic happen, and then you get it to, like I said, the right editor who's passionate. I'm not touching anything. Oh,
no, you're fine. I just want to make sure it was on. As long as that red light's on, it's...
Oh, you're good. Okay. Yeah, if you get somebody who's passionate about it, they'll give you a dream project. You know, yeah. I mean, they can make. I've seen editors make actors who can't really act that well look good. Yeah, that's kind of hard sometimes.
I'm not even the best editor. I've saved shit.
It's hard to do. Like I said, I my hat's off to an editor. I mean, my hat's off to anybody who's passionate about what they do and they do a good job. But editors especially, I mean, they can make, you know, what the shit in the shinola is what they say. I mean, they can make anything shine.
Exactly.
Almost anything shine. Some stuff is just that bad. It's nothing. But.
Yeah, I've never heard that phrase before, but okay. I've like never ever heard that phrase before.
It's a really old saying. I got you by a few years.
Okay, but if you say so, I'll take your word for it, man.
Don't make me Google that one. Like, this started in 1796. But it's, I mean, a good editor can make a bad film. You know, if you have some decent cast, hopefully something really for them to work with. But a good editor is a blessing on any project. You know, just give them something that they can make it happen. Don't just go, oh, they'll fix it in post. I'm pretty sure every editor hates hearing that one.
Luckily, I've never heard that.
You never really?
Yeah, because I was the one who's basically saying, don't ever say stupid shit like that. Never heard anybody say it because it was just taboo. You don't fix anything in post. You try to perfect it in post, but, you know, especially if you don't have any experience.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most important things about what you're saying is you want to be able to communicate better with an editor by knowing the types of things that are possible in the editing phase of the project. Yeah. That's why it's important when you have different teams working on things, different departments and stuff, that you communicate, because you don't want to write a scene that can't be shot.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't want to think of it in a way that can't really be edited the way that you're thinking about it.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So
yeah, I've heard of people like they'll be like, I want you to make a fade out, so I'm gonna be there, then I fade away. And they're like, well, did you do a clean plate along with the plate with you there? Oh no, I figured you could do that. Fix it in post, right? Like, yeah, no, we need something to work with. You can't do that. It's impossible, you know. But and like I said, once again, that's where, like I say, I want to learn. To me, a good director should know at least some basic stuff about each department. They don't have to be an expert at it. You know, just if I talk to a camera guy, hey man, listen, I'm thinking maybe this lens will work right to get this shot that I'm envisioning that we discussed before. And they should have a working knowledge of what's going on. But the DP knows what's possible and what's really necessary. Editing, hey, listen, I got this angle. I figured this would be a good segue for you. I kind of did a little rough to kind of show you what I mean. And then the editor can say, okay, well, yeah, I can make this work. I can pull this out. I can adjust this color, or saturation, whatever they call it, and lighting and all that stuff. But you got to give them something to work with, you know. But if you're a director who doesn't know that stuff, and then you're just kind of like, I threw some scenes together. Here, make this work. It's kind of like, yeah, that's not possible, really. Not to any quality extent, you know. Or everything's improv and there's no continuity, and say, make this a story. It's like, man, I can't make a story out of nothing. Y'all just talk a lot. So it's like, you know, we got talking heads, you know. They have to use a camera phone. It's like, you know, like, can you zoom in? No, because the quality sucks at zoom in. We got to stick with what you gave me.
Yeah, I've heard the term talking heads, and I hate that term because it's always negative. People always think about it like people tell me don't write talking head scenes or
I've heard that.
Or I hear an actor who's doing a scene or whatever, and they're like, this is a talking head scene. It's like, that doesn't mean it's not important.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that. What you're saying is this is a dialogue focused scene. There's a scene where a character is talking to another character.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what would make it negative is if it's full of bad dialogue, if there's repetitive shots, and, you know, I can understand a scene being bad because there's just not a variety of shots. There's really nothing going on. It's boring. Mm-hmm. But a talking head scene is how you describe something that went wrong. It's not describing don't do these types of scenes. Like,
yeah.
Everything is bad if you don't know how to do it right.
True. Well, I like that. Actually, it's a good way that you're saying it. Is that sometimes dialogue is necessary to carry the momentum of the story along. To me, like you said, if you don't have enough angles to kind of cut back and forth between close-ups, mid shots, all that kind of stuff, and then also the fact that if it comes down to that, to me, it comes down to the actors on that. I mean, editing can only save so much, you know. So, but if you have somebody who can emote with their face and their body language almost tells you a whole narrative by itself on top of what they're telling you, then that's going to help you out on the editing phase because they're like, okay, listen, this was very intense. Let me go in on his eyes, or let me go in on this, that, whatever. But if you have somebody who's kind of bland or monotonous, that's when the talking head, so to speak, will kill you because kind of like you're literally just talking to me. You're not even as good as my teacher anymore.
Your liver's talking to me, dude. I'm not vibing with you because it's your kidney that's talking.
Man, your heart's not in it. I don't think your pancreas was there either. So
I can't just have kidney. I got to have heart too. Man. Yeah, I feel you, man. Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me just make sure this is not lagging. I know it's. I hate when people don't look me in the eye when I'm talking to them, so I'm doing that to you. My bad.
Oh no, that's cool.
But I just want to make sure that turn that off. There we go.
And I've still got a red light, so you're still good on my side.
Okay, cool. You know what is frustrating about doing podcasts like this is the mistakes that we've made doing it, we didn't figure out until afterwards.
Yeah,
so it's like while we were doing it, we thought it was fine. And then it's like, well, we'll get to review the tape and see what we can improve upon. Oh, well, there was this thing that happened that you didn't notice, but the picture actually stopped moving because you can only hear audio, but the camera started to outpace the processor.
Yeah.
So it's like it didn't pick up the parts that you want to review now. And it sucks. It really sucks.
So that's why you got multiple cameras.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's working, so I got 2 out of 3 going. I'm just going to get the last one on.
Cool.
Just to make sure that it's not overloading the thing, too. Just turn this off. Just But the audio is still going now. We just got it to where we have the audio versions, too. And we're using a host called Spreaker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you create a website, you got a web host is where you kind of got to host your content, but then you can publish and be on different platforms. Well, Spreaker is our host, and now we can kind of disseminate it to like iTunes and Google, whatever their version of iTunes is. I think it's Google Play. I think they've got a section.
Yeah,
for
actually,
podcasts.
I think so. Well, I've never used it actually, but I believe so. Play Store. I'm just going to type up Google Play. Why not go to my Google account, Google thing. Oh, yeah. Google Play came up first. They must have heard me. So, yeah.
But do they have a podcast section?
Let me actually go into it. I just saw it pop up and then go further. Let's see. Play Store, Google Play. They probably do, which I'm sure I never use it. Let's see. Play games, play music, play books.
I think they chose a good name because they just play with everything they want.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you make it universal, you have the options. Let's see, podcasts.
For sure, though, change the name of the AI from Google because now it's like, I don't want to use Google all the time. It's like, go ahead and give me the name of a person, like a personal name. Google is not a person. It's more of a concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And their AI is really fucking good.
Yeah, it just says Google Podcasts. But yeah, it's under the Google Play thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's cool. So now we're going to be, I guess, reaching an audience because now when you tag it, film podcasts and stuff, anybody who's interested in film podcasts, they'll be getting this show. We're still calling it Tampa Film Podcast, but I think we might need a different name. We're trying to think about it, like, what would the different name be?
I'm not sure. I mean, I wouldn't, if I was going to do that, then I wouldn't focus on the Tampa part. Like, I would take Tampa off.
Right.
You know, because that makes it seem local. You know, and if you're saying, okay, I want to reach a bigger audience, once they see Tampa, oh, that's those Tampa folk. We're not worried about it anymore.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be local. That's kind of the whole point. And it's supposed to advertise Tampa Film Network at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's why we left Tampa Film and then just put podcast there. We were also thinking about just call it Tampa Film Network Podcast. So you got everything. But it's like, it's not a cool name. It does everything, but it's not cool. Then I was like, what if we went with a cool name? Well, we just had a name for it. And then people just knew what it was. Like Film Talk.
There you go. And then once you've drawn them in, you can say it's Tampa. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if the first thing they see takes them out of wanting to be a part of it, then you haven't achieved anything. But if you like to have this film talk, whatever the case may be, they see that, they're like, oh, cool, let me check this out. Then right after they're drawn in, you say, yeah, you know we're filming in Tampa, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't want to do, and I'm mostly like usually the audio engineer, so Kamari's the one who's supposed to be hosting.
Shame on Kamari for not being here.
Yeah, you fucked up, Kamari.
How dare you?
You fucked up today. You didn't know Ken Anthony was going to be here. That's what happened.
You're not now. I got to come get you.
He was supposed to be here, and you guys had a cool chat last time. But I think he thought it was just going to be me and him. But,
just you, TJ? No, I ain't coming to this motherfucking day.
No, we have fun when it's just me and him. But it's he had an emergency, so I'm not breaking his balls about it or anything because he's one of those people who says he'll be there, says what time, and then he's there.
Okay.
Or there within 10 to 15 minutes of the time. And
well, I mean, he's light-skinned black, so they try to keep close to it.
Oh, you didn't go there.
Oh, yeah, I can. I'm black. I can claim that.
Excuse me. Oh,
take a second, recover. It's okay.
I had a reaction, and then my body had a reaction. No, he didn't. But
there's stages to these jokes.
There are. But oh well, I get to interview him by myself. So where are you coming from today? Oh, by the way, today is for anyone who happens to be listening to this podcast, wondering what it is, because it's like we've stopped. We've put the numbers on there, but now we're like, if it's a subject, like last week was editing, the week before that was running guns, so we put that in the title. This week I'm just going to put your name because you're the guest.
Cool.
But today is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, 2018, so it's the 24th. And so happy Thanksgiving, anybody who's listening. Happy holidays to you and yours. Hope everything has been good. How was your Thanksgiving, by the way?
Pretty good. I got a lot of food still in the refrigerator. I went to some family's house, then I went to a friend's house, so it turned out pretty good for me. And I've got plates. Matter of fact, I still have to go get a plate, matter of fact, from a friend. So I'm loving Thanksgiving.
That is good. Yeah, mine wasn't anything like that. A lot of people know me. I don't have any family, so it's like all the cooking, that's just out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm going to eat basically a DiGiorno pizza, watch a movie, and have some ginger ale.
Well, see, you could have went to a friend's house. You could find places. Go to Golden Corral, you get some turkey. You know,
but where do you find friends?
They have these websites now. They may not pan out to be true all the time, but
well, I don't know about those kinds of friends. No, I've always been a pretty solitary guy for a long time, so I'm actually okay with just spending time on my own because I'm usually around a bunch of people all the time.
Yeah.
There are a lot of fucking people where I work. I'm like in a sea of desks and computers and just tech nerds and whatnot. And then outside of that, we got Tampa Film Network. We're going to be teaching class. We're going to have class tomorrow. So the acting class is tomorrow. And then we got the general meeting before that. So it's like sets of people after sets of people after sets of people. You only get 2 days a week off. So this is my first day off. And I'm here with you. And then whoever's after, then I got tomorrow to look forward to. I enjoy it, though.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with being a hermit, just being solitary, because it's just to balance out the herd that I have to hang with all the other times.
I know, I've got you. I'm actually switch gears. I'm kind of the same, but I've kind of learned to be more social. But I think it's funny.
Picky.
Oh, I'm picky as all hell. I ain't gonna lie about that. But I mean, in terms of hanging with people, I'm not picky. In terms of other things, I am. But I mean, it's like I always look at people who like, but I can't go to the movies by myself, or I can't go to dinner by myself. It's kind of like you're an individual. Why can't you enjoy your own company? So and I always tell people, get comfortable with who you are before you worry about trying to get with somebody else, because you're not doing it for the right reason. But that's just me. But
a little judgmental there.
No, because it's like the way I look at it is like, okay, like if somebody's like, man, I really want to go see I don't even know what just came out. Any movie, but I can't go.
That's what your phone is for.
No. I pull up IMDb. It's like, all these movies. Well, I go to Britain all the time, Britain Plaza. So I'll say Instant Family because I know they have that one, but it didn't just come out. Or Creed 2. Creed 2 just came out. Yeah. So but if somebody's like, man, I really want to go see Creed 2.
I heard that one's good too.
So far, this revitalization of the franchise I think it's been good. The last one was good in my opinion too. So
you like the first one?
Yeah. Okay. I think it wasn't Stallone trying to overdo it. It's like he was able to gracefully pass on the torch and still be involved in it. And a lot of times when they try to reboot franchises and pass the torch, it doesn't work. But he did it in a way that it's almost natural. So yeah, I like. Of course, I like all the Rocky stuff. Growing up with it, but this was a good way to pass on the torch to kind of say, listen, I'm going to take more of a mentorship role, and he's the star. But everybody still know I'm Sylvester Stallone. I'm still the star. But they did it nicely.
Well, that's good. So I have something to look forward to. Yeah. So that's your Thanksgiving and my Thanksgiving. And where'd you come from today? Because you were filming today. You know the thing I like about you is every time I contact you about anything, you're always like either in the middle of filming or it's like you'll be like, sure, I can do it. I'll just be right after I get through filming. I was like, this motherfucker's always filming something. I'm amazed you're not in like in fucking Netflix, like in The Walking Dead or something like that. Because like you put in the work, man.
Yeah. Thank you. No, I try to stay busy, but I'm trying to, as I've been doing it longer, I'm trying to get more selective about roles. But on this one, it's called An Angel and a Saint by Edward Jayaraj, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Is he local?
Yeah, he's a local. He's an Indian filmmaker, and he's trying to. I won't say I hate, but I don't want to use the same statement of we're bringing Hollywood to Bollywood, bring Bollywood to Hollywood. But
it's all right to hate, man. It's the era of Trump.
No.
Everybody make America hate again.
That I haven't heard. That's a good one.
Just don't kill anybody.
No, I mean, there's a lot of things Trump does that I digress a little bit for it, but there's a lot of things he does that it's funny. Actually, I use the recent election as an example. So
holy shit, we're about to go political.
Only briefly.
Okay.
On my Facebook, I posted, hey, I voted, whatever. I showed a picture of like the Actors for Gillum band, and a friend of mine posted, Gillum's not for the Film Society. And somebody else posted,
if yes, you're he is, motherfucker.
I feel the same. But somebody else posted a meme and said, if you're under investigation by the FBI, you should not be governor. And so, of course, I quickly Googled Trump memes, and I put up 3 of them about him being investigated by the FBI. And I'm like, but we're still friends, right? Like, yeah, we're still friends. Like, that's what I thought.
Oh, man. Zinger. But it's weird how fucking divisive it is right now. Like, if you just bring up something, like, all you did was post a picture of Andrew Gillum.
Yeah.
And anyone who's on the other guy's side, it's like they go to attack mode. It's like, so you're one of those.
Exactly.
You're a blue. You're a Democrat.
But what I think is even funnier than that, in my opinion, is like because I don't vote per party. Excuse me. I'm a Democrat, but only because I want to vote in the primaries as well as the regular elections. But it's like I vote for whoever I think really is going to do the best job.
That's how you should go. That's how you
exactly.
should vote for the person that you feel like is going to represent you.
Exactly. And some people are so strict to the party, adhere to the party rules, they overlook so much stuff. And it's kind of like, listen, I'm not telling you who to vote for. First of all, vote for whoever you want to. Don't get on me or berate me because I'm not doing what you think I should be doing. I mean, nobody's perfect, Just like when it was Hillary versus Trump, I didn't like Trump or Hillary, to be all honest. But I'm like, if I had to choose between the two, I went for Hillary. We lost. It is what it is, And this one, I like Gillum more than DeSantis because Gillum aligned more with what I wanted to, see done. And he lost. I think he conceded initially too early, but I mean, still recounting everything, he lost. But it's like, if I don't vote for who I think is who's gonna do something productive towards what I want to see done, why am I voting? I can't complain about DeSantis if I didn't at least try to get Gillum in there. Otherwise, you just let it happen. If you let it happen, you can't complain. You shouldn't complain. I'm sure people do, but you shouldn't complain.
Yeah, you get away with it. Say you did and didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure people will lie about it, but I mean, it's just. I mean, you have to be accountable, and if you're not taking that responsibility upon yourself to vote and this, that, or whatever, don't complain about the results you get. You just deal with it 4 years, keep it moving, and that's why, I deal with Trump with another year and a half, however long it's going to be, and then I'm like, okay, excuse me, bye, Trump. Keep moving.
You think he's going to last a year and a half?
I don't think he's going to be impeached, honestly.
You don't think so? You think it's going to be?
I mean, honestly, I don't want Pence in office. Although I've been assured that if Trump goes, his cabinet goes, so Pence wouldn't be in office. But I don't even want to take the risk of that. So let Trump finish his year and a half, get out of office, and just make sure the Democrats make sure they have a good candidate to run against Trump again, or whoever. If the Republicans choose someone else, which I doubt they will, because Trump's the flag boy right now. So get a good candidate to run against them, and it should be a Democratic office. But I mean, but like I said, once again, it's not really based on party. It's just based on, I don't want Trump politics back in office. Let him get his 4 years out and get out of office. That's how I look at it.
Well, the thing about that is, now that he's been in office and has done things and set precedent, it's just like when Obama was doing things and people who were strong Obama supporters who would have criticized other presidents didn't criticize him for doing it. And they, however magnanimous you think he is, now that he used the power, Trump is using those same powers. He's just using it for different means. Things that Obama would have never done. Obama never, ever called the press the enemy of the people.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's some fascist shit, dude.
And,
the way that journalist went to Saudi Arabia to get his marriage license certificates and stuff and got cut up in the embassy. Then they lied about it. And we know they lied about it, and we have proof that they lied about it. And then the president goes on and says basically to the effect of, like, because they're so important to our foreign strategy in that region, we can't do we're not going to do anything. We're basically saying, like, there's a price or a line that we will cross with Saudi Arabia, but killing a journalist is not near that.
Well, I mean, I look at it. I mean,
they kill journalists.
It's been happening for decades. I mean, centuries actually, even. But it's like you have to pick and choose your battles, and I'm not saying that that's okay, but it's like when you have to have the bottom line of what you will allow. If you're gonna kill our people, then we have to address that, and saying that that's not, not worthy of our attention, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, or worthy of any intense response. It's like, come on.
Well, just outright saying that it's not a priority. It's something that is unprecedented.
I mean, but a lot of stuff is unprecedented with them. I mean, not to go full political on this, but I mean, since we're going down that road a little bit,
we're there now.
Well, I look at it like this. I mean, even from the start of Trump, with all of the allegations against him, everybody's quick to condemn everybody else. But when it came to Trump, because they were so tired of Obama, the president in front of both of those, because I don't feel like hearing any debate, no problem with that. But if any other president had that stuff trying to get into office, allegedly messing with an underage child. I won't really say the bankruptcy part.
Nobody else would survive.
FBI investigations.
Nobody else would survive any of the things that he's done.
Any president prior, from Bush and Reagan to say some Republicans, as well as Clinton and Obama, no president would have ever gotten to office with that stuff against them. But it was such a backlash because people were tired of Obama. They said, well, listen, we're going to go the extreme opposite. And I think that's really what helped get Obama in office, too. It's like, well, we're so tired of Bush, we'll put Obama in office. Okay, well, we got Obama in office, but now your backlash will go far extreme with Trump. And it's like, you're allowing so much stuff. You're saying so much stuff is okay to turn a blind eye to get Trump in office, but now you have to deal with the reality of him being in office.
Well, to be fair, Obama was nothing like the way he ran once he got into office. He started to be completely centrist and wanted to work too much with Republicans who were outright just saying they're never going to work with him on his health care bill and things like that, and it just frustrated the shit out of people. How do you have a super majority and not get your progressive priorities done unless you never intended to really get all of them or most of them done anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think realistically, for any political office, you go in with, well, most of them lie anyways, but but you go in with here's the board of what we want to achieve. Here's our dream board, I think is what they call them. Here's what we want to get done. But realistically, you're not going to get most of that done. But that's what you stand on.
But the thing is, he could have gotten a lot of what he wanted to get done.
But a big part of what he wanted to do was bring the parties together. It wasn't just I want to achieve my goals. It's I want to bring the parties and unite this America. And it's like
that's the part that I took as just political expedience, is saying that you're going to work with the Republicans because a bunch of the country is Republican. You're going to be their president too, so you have to say I'm going to represent them. So working with them, bringing them together is fine, but the people who put you into office to do the things that you said you would do.
Exactly. Yeah.
They didn't vote for you plus the They voted for you and their progressive agenda. So it's like it's like fraud to say that you're going to do something
and not make the attempt
and have it, and not. It seemed like he just wasn't even trying. Like he didn't want to do everything that he said. It just seemed like he just outright lied about some things. That's basically different from Trump. Trump actually, he's a huge liar too with what he told his people he would do, but he's also keeping his word about a lot of his rhetoric.
To a degree, I think. Well, I'll talk about both of them. For Trump, I think
to the degree about social issues, I think he's been very consistent with. He was saying, "I'm going to limit immigration. I'm going to discriminate against Mexican and Muslims," and he's pretty much done that. And I'm going to roll back everything Obama did. It's
you put it that way, okay.
He's like a jealous girlfriend. Anything Obama tried to do, he's like made his mission in life to roll that back. It's like, why would you make your presidency about undoing someone else's stuff?
Well, I think it's his way to satisfy the party even more so. I mean, the biggest things that, in my opinion, that he said he would do doesn't make sense, and then if you combine that with the Twitter, the tweets, and all that kind of stuff, a lot of it doesn't make sense.
The parts that don't make sense, which is most of it, those are the parts that are lies. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the part that rallies the party. It's like when people.
True. I think he did it to rally his base.
Yeah. And it was like, we're going to end immigration. It's like, okay, well, as the joke goes. Well, white folk aren't going to want to go, and I don't want to sound racist with this one, but white folk don't want to go picking in the fields. Black folk are tired of it. So you get rid of the immigrants, we're going to have a problem. We're not going backwards. Yeah, so making America great again, get rid of immigrants if you want to. Legalize them. Find a way to do it, where it's like, okay, they're on the books, everybody's happy. But it's like somebody has to pick the fields.
Yeah, I think he just ran on racism, and it's hard to walk that back.
Yeah, but I mean, and like I said, but the people who are still like blindly supporting him, it's one thing if you say, okay, I'm a Trump supporter, but I don't necessarily like everything he does, and here's why. But when you're blindly supporting everything, I think he's done this, and I think he's done that, and this is great about this. Okay, you're supporting it, but you're not thinking it through. You're thinking short term. Short term, yeah, it sounds great to get rid of immigrants. No, that's not me saying that. That's the party, the other party.
Hashtag not racist.
I mean, I think to the degree everybody has stereotypes. So, most stereotypes are based on racism. Some parts are fact, but a lot of them are based on racism. But it's like okay, it sounds good. I'm going to get rid of these people who are taking our jobs, but a lot of immigrants aren't taking jobs you wanted in the first place. He's like. Most people don't want to be cleaners. A lot of immigrants are doing the cleaning work. So you saying you want your job back? Okay, take that. Black folk aren't taking it.
No, they're not taking anybody.
We need somebody to pick oranges and apples and cotton and whatever's still happening out there. Black folk, we did our time. We're not doing that again. So work that out. So it's short term. Yeah, it sounds good to get rid of them, but they're not taking the jobs you want. They're taking the jobs you don't want, and now you're gonna have to find somebody to fill that void. So train your son to go out and pick out the cotton. Train your daughter to go out and do that stuff.
I think it's just people were angry, and he was a populist during the time when the country's angry, and it just makes sense. All the things that he was doing was giving them someone to blame, and your problems are because of these people, it's not true at all. And these people trying to get into the United States are not coming to try and steal anyone's jobs. They're not coming to rape anyone. they're running away from being killed and raped themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, anyways, I think we might have spent too much time on that, but let's. I hear you on what you're saying. Who is it? Who did you say? What was the name of this project again?
The one today and tomorrow will be An Angel and a Saint.
How is this going to be a feature or
it's
a short
feature?
film?
Yeah, it's feature.
I won't ever understand features in this area, but cool if you guys can. How far are you guys along with it?
Probably about, let's say maybe 70%.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
70% of shooting?
Yeah, I think we've got maybe 3 or 4 more weekends of shooting, but we've been shooting for a couple months now. So,
okay. And what made you decide to do this feature with this guy? Have you ever worked with him before?
On a short, the short Targeted that I was in, I had a small role in that, so I worked with him on that one. And then now this one came along, and so I have a role in it, but it's a smaller role. But I'm also helping behind the scenes a lot too. So, like today, I was Sherry Marshall was technically the audio person. I was the boom operator. but yeah, I help out. I do like a lot of the behind the scenes pictures. I do pretty much whatever's needed behind the scenes. And then like I said, I have a small role as a mafia don or something like that. I think we're shooting that in a couple weeks.
Now, why do that?
For me, it's like I said, I try to give it a lot of extra work. I do some for friends now because they've done it for me and stuff like that. But I've been doing it for going on 12 years now, so I'm cutting out a lot of the extra stuff. But if it's a good role or a new market or new demographic I can reach, I try to think more strategic now than when I first got in. When you first get in, you're just going to be in everything and then get out there and network and all that. Now it's kind of like, okay, well, does this help me in my overall goal? I call it my Denzel level. You know, if I'm an extra, I'm not going to get to my Denzel level. I'll stay busy, but I won't get there. But if it's a role that's going to give me some meat or going to introduce me to a new market, then it's something that's kind of worthwhile. You know, paid is additional and nice too. This one's not paid, but like I said, it gives me more. It gets me to the Indian market. It gets me in a feature. It gives me a good piece I can use for my reel. So it's kind of like all inclusive in terms of that. So
okay, the story. What's it about?
The essence of it is a little girl. She runs away because there's a issue at home where she thinks her parents may or may not be killed. So she runs away to avoid getting hurt herself. She runs into a homeless guy, and the character names are Rachel and Danny. So she meets the homeless guy. He basically becomes her protector. So she's the angel. He's the saint for looking out for her.
She's the angel and
she's the angel.
Oh, the angel and the saint are the same thing.
Well, she's the angel because she's the innocent.
I got you.
He's the saint because he's looking out for and protecting her.
He's doing something good.
Yeah. Okay. So,
is he like a bodyguard?
He kind of takes on that like a bodyguard / mentor role, but he has some issues in terms of like I said, he's homeless. His self-esteem isn't really where it probably was when he was younger as a character. So she kind of sees something in him and helps him get stronger and builds him up. And then he does the same for her. He's protecting her, but he also kind of makes her help grow up a little bit too.
Okay, he's not like an ex-assassin or anything, right?
The character. Well, I didn't write the script, so I helped a little bit with the script. I didn't really write it, but the character as we're doing it now, he is ex-military or something like that. So he does have a background where he can fight and stuff like that.
So it's kind of sounding a little bit like Leon the Professional.
I've never watched that whole movie. I know what you're talking about, but
assassin protecting a little girl.
You know, I would have said, wasn't one of the Transporter movies kind of like that too? And Denzel, what was the Denzel movie? Was Man on Fire? I think it was kind of similar to that too.
He's been in a few types of movies like that. Man on Fire was one. The Equalizers. Okay.
Yeah, well, this doesn't focus on it does have some action scenes, but it doesn't focus on the action. But yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that though. Okay. But yeah, while there is some action scenes, it's supposed to be more of the drama. I won't say quite crime, because it doesn't focus on the crime, but it's like that whole drama thing where it's kind of like, you know, what really did happen to the parents, who was in real collusion to make things, you know, like that. So, but it does have an action undertone to it. But like I said, that's not the focus of it.
Okay. It's more about the relationship.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Well, that's cool. Now, it does always kind of, one of the challenges I feel like faces small filmmaking communities is enthusiasm with everyone being involved with the project to the same degree of commitment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And when it comes to actors who may have a smaller role in the overall thing, like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I've always said is, the actors usually, unless you're like one of the main characters, they don't give you the whole script to read. Do you have the ability to read the whole script if you wanted to?
Yeah, but when there's a lot of changes to it, this is any project. I'm not speaking specifically about that one. But if there's a lot of changes, I have to, because I like to actually have tangible, I like to print the script and read it. It's kind of a headache. Usually I do get the whole script because I like to know what I'm getting into.
Okay.
And so I have the option of reading the whole thing. But like I said, if it's like, oh, I printed out the whole script, I read it, I like the story. Or there's a revision, no, I'm gonna stop printing these scripts.
Yeah, I don't advocate for printing. But okay, so that's something you usually ask for. Is this guy, will he do that for everyone, or is it? Yeah,
I mean, everybody has access as far as I know, because I don't handle a lot of that. But I believe everybody has, because we have a group, and we posted the script there initially, so it's gone through some revisions since then. But yeah, everybody has access to that original script, so they kind of know if their character has an arc, if they're a smaller part, what the general tone is of the film, stuff like that. Yes. Okay. But yeah, I mean, you're right though. Sometimes people do give you this your side basically and say, okay, this is what you're shooting. But to me, it's like almost a disservice to the actor, because if you don't know really what's going on overall, it's kind of hard to play the role. For instance, and I won't say which film it was, but I did one film and I didn't have the script, so it's kind of like I just had my little piece, and I'm like, okay, I did it, and I played it a certain way, which was more fearful, and then find out later, no, he's like his right hand man, so really, you almost confrontative sometimes. I'm like, but that's not how I played it before, because I didn't know this. If you give me something so I know what my arc is, if I have an arc, or at least know what the story is, I know what I'm doing. I know a certain way to play that. Mm-hmm. So it almost hurts the actor, regardless how big or small your part is, because if you don't know what's going on overall. Mm-hmm. I mean, there may be some elements you may want to not have revealed, so I can understand in those cases, but have them sign an NDA then. But they can give you a better performance if they know what's going on.
Yeah, I get worried when actors are not, when they don't want to know the rest of the story, like if they're only interested in their scenes. Like, I want to know people are like interested in the project because they like the story, they like the project, they want to do whatever it takes to help it succeed, and it's kind of like you can't really, I wouldn't trust anyone who hasn't read the whole script. Who hasn't read my work. Mm-hmm. Like, I would feel like they're not going to give the project its best, because they're not in it for the project. They're more in it for whatever other reason.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's kind of productive. I mean, as an act, to me, as an actor, you should want to give your best performance. If you're really passionate about being an actor, if you're just in it just for that second of fame or just to get real footage, then it's kind of like you almost do a disservice to yourself. Because if you can't emote enough where somebody feels what you're feeling, then you're not really acting. I mean, you're acting in terms of you're in front of a camera and going over lines, but you're not really acting and bringing your best to it. And even if you're just doing it for real footage, you want them to be able to cut to that, and people are like, oh, well, dang, I didn't know they had that range. I didn't know they could bring that out of me. So yeah, it hurts the project. It almost hurts the career when they're doing, like you said, they're not really interested in the full project. And now I know one thing that Kevin Hart, I believe, said is like he had some projects and they're like, well, we want you to promote this on social media and all these other platforms. Mm-hmm. And at that level, of course, you're a business. Like Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. Meaning I'm not just doing this, I am branding myself. Mm-hmm. And it's like Kevin Hart was like, he's like, listen, if you want all these additional things that weren't in my contract, I need additional payment for these additional things that weren't in my contract.
Exactly. He's no fool, man.
No, he's a good businessman. He's
no fool. And that's the thing, man. The world we live in today, social media is so important.
Yeah.
Like, he's got 70 million followers? Something
like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's like a free, the value of that when you're trying to market something is so valuable. So it's like, of course, if somebody signs him onto a project, they have to take that into consideration for, he put that machine together.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you want some of the Kevin Hart reach my 70 million followers money-making machine, you're going to have to give me something, bitch.
Exactly.
So it's like, you're going to have to pay for this, man.
Had to put the bitch on there.
Yeah. It's kind of instinctual. Like, when you feel justified enough, like you owe me something, it's like Jesse Pinkman, you put a bitch at the end of that. 75 cents. No, 76 cents, bitch. You know what I mean? So
I like that.
just throw bitch at the end. It kind of lets people know you came a little bit incorrectly.
Yeah, I'm not gonna smack you, bitch, but you're gonna know what the hell I mean. But no, it's like you have to in terms of that. But I know there's other stuff you want to hit too. But in terms of that, it's like you have to keep in mind what you sign up for. So as an actor, you want to do certain things, but there has to be an understanding between the actor or any position really, but the actor specifically, that's what I do mostly. As an actor, and the production needs to be on the same page as you. So if they want you to do these additional things, I mean, on the indie level, generally speaking, you're going to do it anyways because you want people to kind of follow you and get more notoriety. But especially when you get to the bigger levels, it's like they need to put it in the contract. Hey, this is what we expect, and what we're compensating you with is going to reflect that we acknowledge that. On the indie level, like I said, it's just like I've seen directors, producers say, I don't understand why, you had a good part in this. Why didn't you promote it? And that person may be at a point still red. That person may be at a point they're like this, and I don't want to promote that. That's not what I'm trying to do right now. It's like, well, since you didn't have that understanding, you can't really enforce that. You can just be frustrated and keep it moving. But if you have it written down somewhere in the contract you sign, you say, hey, listen, you said you would do this. Is what we agreed to. And then again, the other thing that gets me is that a lot of indie productions don't get you to sign waivers and stuff. I'm like, you do realize they can stop you from doing anything with that project at that point, right? And they're like, oh no, I'll get around to it later. No, don't do it later. Do it the day of shooting, if not prior. And so you're on the same page, and you know what's expected. But yeah, when you don't do that, it's like, let's say for instance you do a great feature film or even a short film or whatever, and you got to deal with Netflix or whatever. All that person has to do is say, well, you can't use my image for any of this stuff, and they can take you to court and you can't get that money at all. It's like, why set yourself up for that? And then for actors also, especially if you're getting into the last minute or the day of shooting, take a picture of it or scan it or something so you know what you signed. Because sometimes you don't have time to sit there and read every single line, especially if it's a long contract. But you want to at least be able to go back and say something or make adjustments if necessary. So yeah, but a lot of productions don't send you a copy of it.
Well, first of all, I don't sign shit if it ain't paid.
I'll sign I'll sign for the work I'm doing because I know what I'm getting into. In other words, if I'm acting in a project, why wouldn't I sign a waiver to say, hey, listen, I'm consenting to acting in the project. I'm there anyways to act in your project. So to me, it's not a paid based thing. But the other side of that is that I'm not going to sign away knowing that you have money. It's like if I know you have a budget. Actually, there's when was an Infiltrator was here with the guy from Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. They had a budget for extras at one point. I was planning on being an extra or getting a role in that one. Went to their little audition thing for extras, and by the time they got to the scene they would have put me in, they ran out of money basically for the extras. And like, yeah, would you come out here and sit all day for free? I'm like, yeah, no. Call it pride or hubris, or just say to me it's a business stance. If I know you had money for this stuff, I'm like, if I'm going to give you my day and I know you have a budget, I need to get compensated for my day.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's the thing, man. Some people are like willing to put up with that because they don't know that. They think maybe somebody will look out for them down the line if they feel like they're looking out for the production now. But a lot of times it doesn't. They don't return to favor.
Yeah,
and it's people just taking advantage of people. I mean, that's why. So you and me, we both have I feel like our requirements. Like if I'm going to act in something, you're going to act in something. Depending on the role.
Yeah.
You're going to have a certain level of requirements. Me, I don't sign anything. I haven't signed anything since forever.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I've signed once, or I was supposed to sign once, and I just didn't, and they didn't notice.
Uh-huh.
But it's like it's not as if I'm going to try and take anybody to court. You know what I mean? But it's like I don't really give up Like if you sign something, you're giving up the right to take them to court if you feel like you should.
Well, it depends on what you sign. That's why I'm saying if you get an advance, review it.
Well, here's the thing. Because it's indie film productions and they don't have legal counsel that they're willing to pay for, they'll have like these blanket contracts or waivers and things like that. And I feel like a lot of times you're giving away more rights than you really need to give them permission to use the thing. There's a reason you should be able to sue for wrongful injuries, deaths, or anything like that if somebody is negligent or something like that. So it's like sometimes it's just not necessary.
Well, see, and the only reason I say, like I said, looking from the business side of it versus the other side is like if I'm like I said, if I'm the project, if I'm the producer, I'm looking at it as business wise. I'm making this ideally to try to get somewhere with it. So even when I might be shooting on no budget, I'm trying to make sure that there's no problems down the line. Like you may not sue me, but those other people that didn't sign might say, "Oh no, I heard you get Netflix money now. Or I heard you sold it to Universal. So you need to pay me, $500,000, whatever the case may be, or you can't use my footage." Well, if you're a main character, I just don't have a film. Wow. You see what I'm saying? So I look at it that way. As an actor, I look at it as protect yourself in terms of knowing what you signed, though. Because, like you said, you don't want to sign away the ability to sue if you get hurt, or you don't want to sign away. It's like, yeah, you can use my. You basically give them permission to use your talent or what you do on set and your likeness. But if there's a chance of something happening or something you disagree with, like if you read through it, you can just draw a line. You both sign it. Okay, it's understood that we both made this correction. But like I said, when you don't know what you signed, then you're really giving it, you're giving away too much power at that point. If you've never looked at it and they say, well, no, we never said we pay you. Yeah, but we talked about it. Yeah, but it's not on paper. You can't prove it. Now you're just stuck.
Well, first of all, one of the things you pay for when you pay somebody is their signature. If you're going to be getting their signature, I feel like, and there's money involved, that's something you probably should look for, especially the more broad, whatever it is you're signing. That costs money. You can look at it as a business from a business point of view as an actor too. It's an advantage to have the option if you feel like you should pursue that option at some point. Just like it's an advantage for them to use the footage if they want to use the footage, and they know they didn't really get your permission to use it in that way or make money off of it.
Well, that's my point, though. Like that should be in the contract.
Well, that should be something that you discuss. That should be pretty clear.
Yeah.
But a contract that covers what you're going to be doing. But if it's too blanket, then it's just too all encompassing, and they're just probably gonna just go with somebody who will sign it anyway. Yeah,
well, I mean, it should be understood up front. Like, say, for instance, I was going to try to cast you or something, and you were like, "Hey, Ken, I'm not going to sign this shit." And then I'd be like, "Okay, well, because of the way I do business, hey, TJ, it was great, knowing you're working with you, but you won't be getting that damn role. It ain't personal, it's business,
Yeah.
But like I said, but the other side is that I know who you are. I know how you react, So it's like I know why you won't sign. I'm not going to try to convince you to sign it. It's just either it works or it doesn't work. Use you in another capacity or something like that. I mean, shoot, have I ever signed a release or a waiver for your projects? I'm not gonna take it back to court anyways. No. But I was trying to think. Like,
I've never asked you to sign.
I was trying to think. I'm like, I don't think I've ever thought about that,
bro. You think I would want to keep track of where you put that where the paper is, where the signature and all that? We ain't running a real business here. Well, I'm not naive like these people. One of the things, man, that sets off alarm bells in my head sometimes when people are too focused on things like that. Instead of, well, do you have an agreement with a distributor? You know what I mean? But you want to focus on who's signing and not signing these waivers and things. Well, how about fixing this page 3 of your script where you have 2 minutes of talking where nothing really changes in the story?
Yeah.
And, that people shouldn't be really worried about that. At this level, no. Once you get to where you're making some money, it's warranted.
But what if it's that project that would have made the money, and now, like I said, I'm not a lot of people
that turns into
litigious.
Something?
Yeah.
Well, that's a better problem to have. I say that's a much better problem to have. I say worry about those bridges when you get to them. Those are money bridges. The money bridges are great to have those kind of problems. The problem that people have now is they're thinking too much about the money bridges when they haven't gotten past the casting bridges. They haven't gotten past all these things that are at the indie level.
Yeah.
Their mind is on here. They're thinking about feature films, but they don't know how to make short films.
Yeah. Well, in terms of that, from what I've heard, because I like making short films.
And I'm not saying that pointed at anyone directly.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying that in general.
No, a lot of times, from what I've heard, people look at short films almost as calling cards, but the feature films as projects or products that they can make money off of.
Calling cards?
In terms of, it shows, like, to me, well, not to me, because I like making short films. But
am I getting that term wrong? Is it business cards, you mean? Or is it actually
card? Kind of the same. It's like, I guess the terms are probably interchangeable. A calling, like when people say something like, well, that's your calling card, it's kind of like you're saying, this is what I do. A business card is more like almost you hand it to them, but really they can be kind of interchangeable. Because if I hand you a business card, I'm trying to tell you this is what I do. But a calling card is I'm showing you how well I can do it, I guess, would be the only distinction.
Yes.
So if you do a short film that's super high quality, the audio, the lighting, and everything is great, it's edited perfectly, that's your calling card. You're saying, hey, listen, I'm a director or I'm a whatever. This is how well I can do work. Now imagine if you put some money behind this because I did this with no budget.
Those make sense.
Yeah.
At the
Exactly. Now for features though, like if I wanted to go to AFM or any of those or any distributor, a lot of times they're looking for features versus shorts. They're looking for something we can actually put out there and they're looking at bottom line, can we make some money off of it.
Well, that's different. That's not indie.
It's still indie. I mean, if you like Clerks was an indie film.
Well, what I'm saying is you make a feature to get bought.
Yeah.
Everybody buys short films.
Basically.
So if you're going to make a feature, I would think, the goal is to just like when you start a new tech business or something like that, you want one of these big guys to come in and buy you.
Yeah.
And you can cash out. So if they have that in mind for feature films, then it's like, okay, they're looking to do something that you're supposed to do with a feature film. Now let's take a look at the script. No one ever passes that test, but we're going to take. Now we're at the part where we can take a look at the script. Well, okay. Instead of spending 2 hours on this, why don't you just cut this down to 5 minutes, and we get it. People got to understand the difference between feature films and short films and what each can do for you. If you are not a good filmmaker, you should be making short bad films instead of long bad films.
That's a good way to put it. But I would say a little bit different. I would say if you're not working with a good story, and the reason being is because you can tell some stories in a concise manner in 5, 10, 15 minutes.
Why would anyone work with a bad story?
Some people do. They think it's good, but they haven't vetted it against anyone else to see if it's really good.
But that's worse than having a bad story. Is not knowing the difference.
A lot of people don't, though. You've seen some of the indie films like I have, I'm sure, over the years. You've seen some, it's like, what were you thinking? None of that ties in together.
Oh, no. Hollywood movies suck. I've seen bad Hollywood scripts, and it's like, I know I could have fixed that.
Yeah. So like I said, the first thing to any serious filmmaker is find a good story or write a good story, but make sure it's a good story you're starting with.
First of all, study a little bit of storytelling so that you can understand the difference.
Yeah.
That way, even if you get a bad story, you might know some ways that you can fix that or just get it on the right track. That way, if you're just going to make a film, make a short one.
Yeah.
Because it's probably not going to be a great blockbuster. It's probably not going to be better to people who spent time getting the education to understand how you structure a story, how the characters can develop, who understand, who are just more experienced with working with actors, getting things done. Mm-hmm. What kind of chance do you think you have against those people? And those people might have years and years of trying to get bought at Toronto or AMC or whatever, and then you're just coming in with your feature film that you happen to just put together, but the movie is terrible, but you're at Toronto if you get accepted.
But even some of those could sell. I mean, it's like I've heard stories.
That is true, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I've heard stories of people like, oh well, maybe it's we're known in Florida for like the horror films and stuff. It's like and they're like, oh well, this would have had a great market over in I'd say Indonesia. I'm just picking a place though. But you got to be willing to do blah blah blah. Maybe shorten the edit, lengthen the edit, whatever the case may be.
It's gonna be the third row at Walmart.
Walmart get you money too.
Walmart will get you money.
If you're looking at, because the distribution now is more online and streaming and stuff, but even getting into Walmart, if whoever purchases your film for distribution is giving you a check up front, it's ideal if it's a decent sized check, and then getting you in other locations you would normally not have gotten your project into.
So in those cases, it's going to be a poster film. So it's basically, as long as the visuals look good, as long as it looks like it can sell on a shelf, which is what...
A poster film? I never heard of that before. Okay.
Well, that's my term for it, because it's like, basically it's just like the cover. Like you're selling a book by the cover instead of the contents. Like it looks like or you're selling it by genre. Like some people just like slasher movies.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, this is a slasher movie.
Mm-hmm.
We'll call it Face Cutter 15. So I don't give a fuck. You got a hot girl on there. You got some blood. You got a knife coming over here. You got all the stuff.
You hit all the main steps to get it. Yeah.
You know what? People are probably going to be high when they watch it anyways. So it doesn't matter. If you know what you're doing, that's great.
Yeah.
But if you're really passionate and you want to be an Academy Award winning filmmaker, there's some steps to take.
Yeah. I in terms of that, I start with passion. I always say if you're passionate about what you're doing. So if you have the passion to do it, then take the time to do it right. And because eventually I'm going to shoot a feature. Eventually I'll shoot a couple features.
I do it wrong, but I'm an innovator. I do it differently and not wrong.
But there's nothing more different, but it's product. And like we said before, it's like I've said before when I bother you about it, is that you got to have product for people to see, and they'll say like your innovations. They have to look at it and say, something. This the shit. He's saying some things right here. For me as a filmmaker, I look at it as whether it's the short films or the features I'll make in the future, because like I said, I still like making shorts too, is like what's my purpose behind it? And then it's like, am I putting my heart into it? I'm a writer, so it's like I want to write a good story. I know I don't write the right format, so I don't force my format on people. It sucks. But I write as best I can. I pass it to somebody else. We make sure we've got a good story to go forward with. Okay, now let's get the crew together to shoot this.
Now that I think is a great idea. So just because you may not know the craft of screenwriting doesn't mean you can't write a good story.
Yeah.
So you feel comfortable enough that you can write a story. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you'll ever switch over to being a good screenwriter, or will you always give that to someone who is better at crafting it into?
If it becomes a point of contention where I have to do it, like a lot of times, necessity is the mother of invention. Mm-hmm. So far, I don't have a necessity in my life where it says I have to be a good screenwriter, because I know people who like to do screenplays and write them in the right format. If it becomes something where it's like I have to do it, I could research it and learn it, or get the programs and do it right. But like I said, I just like to get the idea out, And for my version of a script, everything is roughly there. But as far as like, okay, well, scene one, interior this, fade to all that, or even just the fonts to type it in, so it equates to that 1 minute per page per minute. Yeah. I just mentally, I'm just like, I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on getting a good story out.
Good.
But yeah, if it got to a point where I had to do it, I'm sure I would make the time and do some research to get it done right.
Right.
But yeah, I got too many friends who love doing that. Why am I going to take that from them? That's a joy to that.
That's a good point. Like, why force yourself to do something other people would love to do for you? So
yeah.
And I don't actually write the proper screenplay format either, even though that's like my strongest skill is screenwriting and story design. Only because it doesn't really matter. It like I said at the beginning of the podcast, the whole purpose of the format for proper screenplays is so that a page equals a minute.
Yeah.
So you remember reading the stuff that I sent you. It's like everything is left justified. It looks like it's written in like Word or something like that. We wrote in Google Docs, but the pages do equal a minute. So that was the only important thing. The other thing is the screenplay is actually the last thing that I write. The first thing I do is I structure the scenes and I structure the story based on plot points and progression of story and development of character. So it's like I do story design.
Okay.
And then I write the screenplay. And the last thing I do, want to guess what that is?
Get other people to read it? I don't know.
No. I just put in the dialogue last.
Oh, okay.
So I'm one of those dialogue last people. But so that's really good. So right now you're an actor, but you're also a producer. You do that right now.
Yeah.
What are all the things you are right now?
Actor, writer, producer. It'll be the main titles. Everything else is just filling in by necessity. So, but
okay. And then when it comes to being an extra hand on set and things like, you don't mind doing that?
No, I mean, to me, it's like whatever's necessary to get the project done, and get it done well. So,
is that the reason though? So it's like you just might have concerns that the person who's behind the camera might not get the people they need to just. You're more worried about the project getting done. Getting
done well. I want it to be a quality project. So if I have to grab a cord or hold a boom like I was doing today or whatever the case is whatever necessary to make sure the project's done right. So I mean, I don't have an ego. A lot of people get egos. A lot of people get egos way ahead of schedule. It's like, I don't think you should have one, but if you're gonna get one, you can't just start out. So it's like, oh well, no, I need to have my trailer, and I can't touch that cord there. I'm an actor. Like, you just started yesterday. I knew you. I talked you into doing it.
That's a good point. Producing. So, what does that involve? Do you feel like you do that well, or? I
do it passively. To me, a lot of it is delegation. And just making sure things get done.
Would you say that it's like the centerpiece person of any project is the producer? Or would you say that more is the director?
Personally, I say it's more the director, only because of the fact that when I'm producing, usually for most of my projects, a lot of them I've done for the Action Film Challenge we talked about before, and usually I'm writing it, I'm pulling the team together. Making sure we stay on course with the deadline, stuff like that. And then when I get to acting, I always try to say I switch off everything else so I can just act on the days I have to act. But to me, once I've discussed it with the director, and discussed it with the DP and all that kind of stuff, I really want that part to be in their hands. So it's like, here's my vision, here's what I wrote, here's, I've put these things in place, so we've got locations, so and so, whatever I have to coordinate. But at that point now, director and DP talk, director, DP, and sound, or whoever we actually have in the crew, talk. Make sure you're on the same page. I shouldn't have to hold your hands at that point. It's my baby, but it's your.
You're the experts of those crafts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So to me, at that point, the director becomes more important because people it's like the director's the captain of the ship. I might have made the ship, but they're the ones who guide it to where it has to be. So to me, the director really should take the reins and say, okay, here's what needs to be done. I've talked with the DP. I've talked with the audio. I've looked over the stuff the producer gave me. I know what's going on now. Let's make this happen.
So how did you become, because you basically the first thing you were out of all those is an actor, is that right?
For film, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how did you switch over from acting to producing? Was that out of necessity, or was that out of just passion, or was there something you feel like you need to do in order to be a step towards getting what you really want to do?
It's kind of necessity, but it was actually the first Action Film Challenge, which I think was 2000. I don't know, like 2011.
The first ever out of conception?
Yeah, the first ever one. Yeah, I've been in it since the beginning. So Daniel had a meeting for whatever that group was at that time, another film network. And he said, hey, here's an idea of what I'm going to do.
Daniel Brienza,
yeah.
The creator of Florida Film Network.
Exactly.
And also the Tampa Film Network before he stopped using the name, and then we took the name.
See, I was avoiding all that. See, you want to just bring stuff up.
Hi, Daniel. He was a friend that was that commented on your thing, wasn't he? Because I think I saw.
For the political thing. Yeah. He was one of them. He wasn't the one who posted the meme though, but he definitely was one of them. But
that's all we'll say about that. But okay, so in the beginning, you were there for that, and you're still doing it. Mm-hmm. Is it still like a healthy competition?
Yeah.
It's progressive over the years.
I've seen some really great stuff from it. So honestly, yeah, some people were able to capitalize on it better. Like I remember my boy Ernesto Vega. He's in, I think he's in Cali. I'm not sure exactly where he is. I haven't talked to him in a little while. But the camera he used, he put it at the end of the, he said the name at the end of the film, and I think they gave him like an endorsement or a sponsorship or something like that based on that. So some people have gone to big things. Scott Sullivan's one of the best ones. I'm trying to remember names now. That's not the wrong time for me to actually segue to actually remember people's names. But there's a lot of great people that work in it. And so a lot of times it inspires me to want to do better. Some of my projects have been better quality than others, but it makes me want to do a better story. It makes me want to, to me, I use the Action Film Challenge to keep me accountable to do at least one film a year. It's the easy way to do it. Hey, I'm going to do the challenge. When I do the challenge, I got to do it. I got to get it done. I got 30 days. Let me get my crew together. I mean, coming with stories is the easy part. The writer part is the easiest part for me. The producer part, as far as getting everything together and getting it started, that's a little bit harder. Only because of the fact that sometimes I have to reach out to new folk, which I actually like to do. But if you don't know them, if they're brand new, you don't know, okay, are you going to show up on that day? Or is it going to be a lot of drama? Is it going to be an ego in there? And I always try to tell people up front, for my projects, there's no egos allowed. Doesn't mean they don't happen, but I try to negate it as much as possible.
Do you call them eagles?
Ego allowed.
Egos.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess they could be eagles too if they really want to soar high. But yeah, having an ego, I'm like, if I'm the writer, star, this, that, whatever, and I don't have an ego, you can't come to my set and have an ego. So just come here, do your best. That's basically what we're all proud of. And generally speaking, overall, for the most part, I've been satisfied with the projects we've come out with. But yeah, I don't know what the original question was.
I was basically trying to get an idea because some actors are finding that they have to do some of the things that producers do because some of them are trying to start their own stuff on YouTube and some of them are trying to do podcasts and things like this. And when it comes to organizing projects and figuring out the logistics and equipment that you need and who's going to be involved and what day you're going to shoot, scheduling, all that stuff is producer stuff.
Yeah. And I delegate some of that stuff. I try to get a team enough where there's certain stuff that I'm pretty good at. If I have to find a location, I can usually reach out to a couple folk, find a location, and coordinate that part. Sometimes I need a little help on that. But paperwork and the adhering tighter to the schedule and stuff like that, I try to delegate as much as possible, only because of the fact that I'm not the best person to make sure, if I'm focused over here and talking with the director or something, I'm not going to focus on making sure waivers are signed, location permissions are signed, stuff like that. Will I circle around and follow up on it? Yeah. But if I can have somebody to take care of that up front, then it makes my job easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have no problem with delegating. But on the producer side, like I said, once I put things in place, I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So if the director's like, oh man, I thought we were going to have this DP, but we didn't get them. I got this person. We need to make sure y'all can work together and get the same process going. Because maybe that DP they wanted wasn't available, or we already got another project, whatever the case may be.
Well, I can relate to that. I feel like with Tampa Film Network, that's kind of the role that the admins play. Not within a project, but I mean, even going from project to project, just us putting together our acting program who are in our projects, and then people who will shoot, the camera people who will do the audio, and there's got to be some kind of consistency to kind of communicate between everyone and just make sure everyone's on the same page, and then be consistent with the policies that we're trying to do as a group. And I feel like that carries over even when you're trying to do more than just one project. If you're trying to continue to grow, maybe some people have their own studios and stuff. So I feel like we've done that too. So I hear you. Let me ask you this: any auditions coming up?
For my projects, not yet.
I mean, for you personally, is there anything that you've had your eye on, or have you been looking?
Yeah, there's a couple of features that I've kind of talked to folk about.
Are these Hollywood features or local features?
Local. Some of them have intentions of being more Hollywood, or at least getting distribution on a better scale than YouTube. So, but I think one of them might be a Hollywood one. But one of the reasons I'm trying to make more time to be more flexible in my schedule is so I can audition for some of these Hollywood ones, because it's like I said, my goal is I call it my Denzel level. Everybody has to have something to shoot for. So, but if I stay strictly doing local indie films, it's gonna be harder to get to that level. So I've got to get some of these Hollywood auditions to at least get them acquainted with me. Hopefully, I'll land the roles too. But at the very least, if they see me and say, okay, maybe he didn't fit for this, but I keep him in mind for this other project that might come up, stuff like that. So I've got to get out there more for those different auditions. I think it's like 4 or 5 I'm supposed to audition for within the next 2 or 3 months that I know of.
For actors who are wondering what it actually takes to go from indie to Hollywood, do you feel like personally that like the amount of work that you have to show, like your demo reel, do you feel like you have enough to get a decent sized role on a feature film?
It depends what they're looking for.
What's the best you can do as far as like, let's say there's a feature that comes into town, it's a big movie, Michael Bay's doing it, so you know it's going to be a lot of explosions. Don't have to worry about the script. We'll make it up as we go. But you're going to be in
How
a
do
big...
you really feel?
You know what I mean? So, as if you can be an extra, a featured person with a line or some kind of involved with the story. You can be a supporting character, the real importance of the story, or you can be a lead or one of the leads.
Okay.
What do you feel like you're qualified to do?
Well, I probably wouldn't take on an extra as I'm getting paid, so I can knock that one out. It depends on what the role is and who's attached. I mean, it's like if it's a feature film, he's like, well, listen, I loved your audition, but I can get Denzel or you. You need to go with Denzel. I'll be the support and let him have the lead. But if it's one that
Denzel. You know I got mad love for you, but I'm fighting for mine. I'm going head to head.
Oh yeah, I mean I would give my best audition for it, and if it's a Michael Bay film, it's probably action. I'll probably be typecast as a tough guy, which is usually what I'm typecast as. My demo reels, my first demo reel, I think supports that better than my second, but I got to do a new one anyways. But
let's say taking into consideration every bit of footage you have now to date, even the most recent ones. What do you feel like that would get you? How high up the chain on a feature film could that get you?
Because most of my work is based on me being typecast, I would say I could probably get a good supporting. I know I can carry a lead, especially if they're paying me enough where I don't have to worry about another job. But so I can just have time to just focus. But from what I've done, because I'm usually typecast as that tough guy. That's mostly what they would see. I have some comedy and a lot of it I've written myself just to make it so I can show a little variety to it. But I mean, if I'm a casting director, and I'm looking at it, I'm kind of like, okay, I got a headshot, a demo reel, and a resume. They're gonna look at the resume. Okay, most of that's action, indie stuff. Okay, cool. All right, demo reel. Even if I had a good demo reel with all my current footage, it'd be okay. He's kind of funny. He's good, tough guy. He bring the emotion. But this is a dramatic script. He's not really giving me that here. So then they will probably go with, okay, he'd be good for supporting because he could feel that stereotype, that archetypal role. But we need somebody here we know that's going to be able to do these dramatic things we need done. That doesn't mean I can't do it. No, I could definitely do it. But, I mean, except for Crime Command, I still have to work on that. But
so you pretty much have the confidence to do every level of role?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you find yourself doing the most?
Mostly the tough guy. I'm usually the mafia don or the tough guy's right hand man.
Is this featured, or would you say to a lesser extent, like just or to a more extent would be supporting? To a lesser extent would be like a few, maybe a minute or two in the film as a featured role. Where do you feel like you get the most screen time?
Mostly, I've probably gotten more featured. I've gotten some supporting, and of course, in my own films, I write myself as a star because it's my films. But
that's something that I never ever wanted to be criticized for. I always felt like kind of self-conscious, like, well, if you're doing your own movie, I feel like people would be like, "Are you doing your own movie?" Yeah. Who's the star? You? No, man. I'm not that much of a. I'm not gonna go from extra to lead, you know. No, it's fine if you do that. By the way, I'm not. You know, if you're not gonna give yourself a chance, how do you expect anybody else? But
exactly,
that's perfectly fine. But so you want to be a lead?
Yeah. I mean, it's It depends on the piece. Like my SOL films or SOL related films is SOL, Desolation, and Solstice. And the next one when I do will be Resolation.
What's an SOL film?
I did SOL was the first for that particular series of films. It's SOL I did probably 6 years ago now.
Wait, we're talking about a series that you've made. It's called SOL?
Yes.
Okay, what's the SOL stands for?
It's really shit. I used to avoid saying it just to get people to think about it, but it's shit out of luck. But it's kind of like A-Team Expendable type of film.
Okay, now I remember what you're saying. How we talked about this before. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I did that one, Desolation, and Solstice, and those are more ensemble pieces.
Okay.
So while I am a star, I'm not like the sole star. It's not a film about my character, but my character is a major part of it.
Okay. Well, that's important because, like, while people are wondering what it takes to get from doing like extras to a higher up feature, higher up supporting, higher up the lead, you got to give yourself that chance. That's how I start. I started off as an actor, and I didn't feel like there were any roles that would give me a chance to show the full ability of what I was doing. So I started writing, and it just so happens that.
The library is closing in 30 minutes. If you would like assistance completing tasks, any staff member will be happy to help. If you need to contact someone to pick you up, you may use phone at the circulation desk. Thank you.
Disregard what she said. We're not in the library. We're in the studio. This is the Tampa Film Network studio.
For 30 more minutes. It
would have been even more perfect if she gave the fucking address to which library it is. It's fine, but I support giving yourself a shot because you got to say, listen, I could do this, and the best way to say that is to show them.
Yeah.
That you could do this, and that's why a lot of these actors are starting their own things, and this is the start your own thing era.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how they get into producing because they have to organize this, and if you're successful, you definitely got to take it seriously and really create something viable. So that's what I was asking you about how exactly did you get into producing if it's out of necessity, which it would have been if you did SOL?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first one was Way of the Vigilante, and that's kind of like, like I said, it was the first action film challenge. I wrote Way of the Vigilante with Marcus Kempton. Well, I wrote it. Marcus Kempton directed it. We both produced it. So that was technically under aspect ratio 2:3:5, not under artistic license studio.
Shout out to Marcus Kempton.
But I gave myself a very small part in that one because at that point my confidence wasn't really there in terms of making myself the lead. And then after that, I was kind of like, basically what you just said. I was like, well, if nobody else can give me this shot, I need to give myself the shot. So I kind of slowly built up in the projects where I started taking more of a lead role. But the first, I did Way of the Vigilante. Then I did Survival Instinct, and I was still supporting in that. So first one, I basically gave myself like featured extra. Second one, I gave myself supporting, and then I started taking lead roles in the rest of them. So I don't remember the exact order after Survival Instinct. I know I did the 3 SOL films. I did McLean, which was a comedy, and I was a lead in that.
Parody of the actual character McLean from
one of the rules was we had to have a character named McLean.
Oh, McLean. Okay.
Yeah, so
it wasn't a Die Hard character.
No, I just made it a family name. So my character and the other character.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
I should have said that in the film. I never did say it though. but
put it in there. 1 second, 2 seconds. Okay, right in the middle of when he was talking and went out. Now, are you able to pick up right where you left off?
Yeah. I was talking about McLean at that point. So I was a co-star in that one. So I lead in that one. And the idea behind it is that it was kind of to beat stereotypes. So we both have the same father, which is why we both named McLean, but the other guy's a white guy. So I think I was 2 because I was McLean the second, and he's junior because he's McLean Jr. I'm like 5 minutes older than him, so Papa was a Rolling Stone. And but I'm the one that goes and actually works and gets things done and pays the bills for the stereotype. He's the one who's more lazy and always trying to hustle and trying to get out of stuff. So that's the black stereotype of people that a lot of people have in America. So it's kind of like it's kind of playing off of that energy, which was kind of fun. People like that one.
Mm-hmm. You're not doing us any favors here.
It worked for me. Forget that. And then I did Portrait in Blood. It's a vampire one. Because I like vampire films and horror films in general. I just did Just a Date, which actually was the first full screenplay. Well, I wrote the original story, but the first full screenplay itself that I did, which was by Rick Danford, that I actually shot through my studio. And then I'm missing a film. It's Fun Until, which I was giving, syncing it up.
Yeah, I have to sync it up. There we go.
Oh, okay. I was giving X and Core.
We got 2 minutes, by the way.
2 minutes? All right, so let's skip my films. Any other questions?
I think that's everything. We can go ahead and start to wrap it up here. Was there anything else you wanted to say before we go?
Really just, thanks to all my filmmakers, thanks to my Artistic License Studio family for being with me for over a decade of the studio now. John Williams, Becky Yatar, Rick Danford, Leo Kraska, everybody who's helped me to get to where I am and where I'm trying to go. All the support and everything, and UTJ.
Well, the most important of those is me, so you're welcome. And I hope you will share this with everyone that you just mentioned and tell them to share it with all their friends.
No doubt.
Everyone, thank you so much for listening. This has been Tampa Film Podcast number 5, second episode with Ken Anthony here. Just a reminder, tomorrow, the 25th of November, remember, we're going to have a general meeting starting at 1 p.m. going till 2:30 p.m. tomorrow. And that's for everyone who is not the acting team or acting class, but camera team, podcast people, everything, anyone who is doing anything other than acting, who has been working with the groups kind of separately. Even if you miss those activities, you can kind of come and get caught up during the general meeting. And we'll be discussing things like what we're going to be doing for our future projects and getting on the same page. After that, at 2:45, going from 2:45, it starts at 2:45. The acting class will start, and then everything involving that will be happening. And we go from 2:45 to 4:30, and then your acting class is over. So we got a stacked day tomorrow. If you have any questions, you can email Tampa Film Networks with an S at the end at gmail.com. You can contact through the website, tampafilmnetwork.org, and hit the contact page. You can also contact Tampa Film Network through the fan page on Facebook, through Twitter, through Instagram. However you want to hit it up, just do it. The email is probably the best place. To join Tampa Film Network, go to tampafilmnetwork.org and go to the Join tab and sign up and say what you would like to do to be a part of the film community. You cannot just join the network. You will be active creating things. Otherwise, it's not for you. Follow, like, and subscribe everywhere you can find Tampa Film Network, and that is YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I want to thank you for our sponsors. That would be me. And I want to also thank you for Sprite, Coca-Cola, and anyone else who is listening.
And Rockstar. Today was Rockstar. That's
brought to you also by Rockstar. Kamari. You fucked up, Kamari.
Yeah, man.
We got Ken Anthony today.
You were supposed to be here. You were supposed to make this happen, man, with the fade and the light skin. Somebody has to think we fit in. We conform. You are an example of that.
So you missed out, but that's okay. He had an emergency, allegedly. Just kidding.
It's Florida. We had to do a recount on your emergency.
All right. So the next podcast, hit us up with things that you would like us to talk about or things you would like to learn more about, especially if you're a member of Tampa Film Network. Let us know if you want to come on the podcast and talk about anything, acting, directing, whatever your experience is, especially if you're a member of Tampa Film Network. We appreciate it. We say happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, happy Cyber Monday,
Kwanzaa,
all that.
Christmas, Hanukkah, all of that's in there.
Light your menorahs, set your presents underneath the Christmas trees. December is coming up. The last of the year is here upon us. So thanks so much. Get out there, film something, share it.
Yeah. Oh, and support T-Buff, Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival, Sunshine City Film Festival, Sunscreen, Gasparilla, all of those things. And Silver Screen for short films is starting the film festival too.
Yes, go to their individual pages to find out when they will be, because we will not be announcing it. All right, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for it.
Me. December is T-Buff, so I got to film in there.
What's the date on the T-Buff?
December 6th through 9th. I think mine plays the 7th. Though.
What's the name of yours again?
Just a Date. That's the last one I did.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and that's Ken Anthony. I'm TJ. We are out.
Deuces.
And I did get that last part. Thank you. Thank you.